Aloha to the Lahui. Welcome back to Connect the Dots with Jenny. We have breaking news. The jurors have reached a verdict on 4 counts. Count 2, 3, 4, and 5. They have not reached a verdict on the first count, which is the RICO charge. Remember, the RICO is the one that carries the life sentence maximum. Okay. I do appreciate that they are weighing that heavily, even though I want them to find Diddy guilty because they really do hold his life in his hands. But that tells you that they already have a verdict. They already have an answer. To me, I think that's a guilty plea. I have been saying from the beginning that if they come back with a verdict early, it's because they already find him guilty. Because I think the longer that they were to deliberate, the more they'd have to look into evidence to try to find him not guilty. So this doesn't look good for him. So now we're going to talk about the actual note that was written by the jury, and how did Diddy respond? Now that is the very interesting part because it gets very graphic in the transcripts as to what happened. So let's read what they actually wrote. And they wrote, "We have received a note at 4:05 p.m." This is the judge speaking. It reads, "We have reached a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5. We are unable to reach a verdict on count 1 as we have jurors on each side. How should we respond?" I have been saying from the beginning, if there's a hung jury, it's because they need to get that unanimous vote, and there's at least one person who is not budging. So now we find out there's 2 people, right? We have a verdict on each, we have jurors on each side. Oh, hold on. I think I've completely misread this. This is like my 5th time reading it, and now I think I'm understanding what it says. It says we have jurors on each side, which means they literally are split down the middle on the RICO charge. I am impressed. Wow. So, what the prosecution says is they say we're preparing a modified Allen charge. So I had to review what a modified Allen charge. And a modified Allen charge is basically instructions that a judge will give to a jury that is deadlocked to prevent a mistrial from happening. Okay, so I've been saying from the beginning, there's a potential that there could be a hung jury because they all need to unanimously agree that Diddy is guilty to reach, or not guilty to reach a verdict unanimously. But as long as there's just one who cannot agree with them, that's all they need for a mistrial, for a hung jury, for a mistrial. And then the question is, what happens then? Well, what happens is more than likely Diddy would remain in jail and they would need to redo the whole trial, which leaves open for so many things, which leaves open the mistrial, which essentially leaves open Diddy walking free. I am not surprised by this, though. All right, so let's talk about the Allen charge. Allen charge is when the judge reads this to the jurors. The jurors should not give up their honest beliefs just to reach a verdict. All jurors should reconsider their positions with an open mind. The goal is unanimity. Unanimity, yes. But only if it can be done without violating conscience. The jury, this is used when the jury tells the judge that they are deadlocked, and the judge gives this charge to avoid a mistrial due to a hung jury. It cannot coerce the jury. Any pressure to convict or acquit is grounds for reversal. So, you don't wanna try to coerce the jury at all, because right there, as you can see, it's ground for reversal. You can automatically everything's just been undone, and now the case is completely thrown out the window. Okay, so once they get that note, the prosecution's like, we move to have the modified Allen charge read. The defense is like, we don't know, they always want to figure out if they're doing the right thing, so they're like, we need to confer, and they come up with their own proposal. So they come up with a proposal, the prosecution comes up with their proposal, and the judge says, email it to me. So they do. So then they reconvene, and the judge says, okay, I've gotten the proposals. And then he's speaking to the defense, and he's like, how come your proposal wasn't wasn't really much of anything. And they're like, well, we just don't want to sway the jury in any type of way, because apparently they weren't going to have court on Thursday due to the 4th of July holiday weekend. But through their discussions, the judge asked both of them, the prosecution and defense, if they would let the jurors come and deliberate on Thursday, and both sides agreed that they would let the jurors come back and deliberate even more on that. Okay. So then they come back. What they do is they bring the jury back in and they seat them. So this is what they read to the jurors. The judge says to them, they come back into the courtroom and he says, I have received your note that you have reached verdicts on counts 2 through 5. I ask you to continue deliberating, discuss and weigh your respective opinions dispassionately, and follow my instructions on the law. I ask that you return to the jury room. If you decide you're done for the day, send me another note and I will bring you back out to the end of the day. So right there, what he's saying is remove your egos, try to remove any type of emotional attachment, all emotion. That's why he said dispassionately. Remove your egos, your emotions, your feelings, your attachments, your perspectives. Remove all of that. Try to go back in there, listen with an open mind, and try to really listen and read the facts. Take your own personal opinion out of it and just go back to the facts. Do you think factually this was proven? Which I think is a wise thing to do. Now, if they come back tomorrow and they still do not reach a deliberation, then they're going to recommend that they can come back on Thursday and continue deliberating. So that's what was discussed here. Okay, now let's go back to the really interesting stuff about what Diddy did when he found out. So first of all, okay, he's not in the court. They bring him into the court. And then they're talking to him and they hand him a piece of paper. And it says right here, okay, wait, at 4:27 p.m. First of all, he sits down, he sits with his hands in his pocket, and he's just fine, in his lap. He's just fine. Then they hand him the piece of paper, and it says here, 4:27 p.m., Sean Combs, with rubbing his eyes, one with his thumb, the other with his index finger, like so. This is after he was already given the note that the jury said that they already got a verdict. You know that he knows. This is obviously what I think. This is just my opinion. I think he knows that that's a guilty verdict. That's in my opinion, because you can't reach that verdict so fast. I feel that you can't reach it so fast unless you thought he was guilty. I thought we weren't going to get anything until at the soonest tomorrow, Thursday. But they got it today, and they got it on 4 counts. I'm very, very impressed. Okay, at 4:30, Agnifilo goes forward, then returns and hands Sean Combs a piece of paper. He stares at it. After talking to Agnifilo at 4:32 p.m., Sean Combs looks down again, resting his head in his right hand. Sorry, I was continuing to read. It's getting intense. It's going down to the wire. They're going to come back tomorrow. They're going to deliberate. Diddy's not doing good. Diddy is not doing good at all. I'm not sure what's going on right now. So this is where we're going to leave off. Tomorrow they've left for the day. They've adjourned for the day. They immediately after that, they sent him a note, the judge a note saying that they're ready to go home. So they're gone for the day. What's going to happen is tomorrow. So what was left off, or what they left off at, is the prosecution said, yes, tell them tomorrow that they can deliberate on Thursday, because apparently they're not going to have court on Thursday already. And Combs' defense said, no, don't tell them that. We don't like that, because we don't want them to rush their decision even more, right? And so they said, let's wait and tell them tomorrow. So that's where they're leaving off, that they're going to wait till tomorrow. Hopefully they can go home, get a fresh, perspective, they can clear their minds and they can come back tomorrow and they can actually reach a verdict. But I think the fact that they came to a verdict so quickly, it's not looking good. Like I've always said, I think it's going to come down to one person. I think they are going to find him guilty on certain charges and not on others. Because you got to have that unanimous vote. But we're going to wait and see. And I'm going to let you guys know. I'm going to tune you guys in. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. I bring you all the up-to-date Diddy news. And I do it because John Pelletier, who is Maui Police Chief, was named in a Diddy lawsuit. And the Maui Police Commission did absolutely nothing about it. They voted against opening an independent review or investigation into John Pelletier, into seeing the validity of the Ashley Parham versus Diddy and John Pelletier lawsuit. So stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you to everyone who watches and supports. I appreciate you guys so much. And I will see you guys soon. Aloha lahui.